Rock Lee. When he got into the show, everyone probably had the same thought. What's he supposed to be? Nobody could have expected that this character would be so great. A boy who already had it a lot harder because he can't use any nin or genjutsu and still somehow became genin, even though I have no idea how he could perform the transformation jutsu or any other jutsu to pass. In any case, he was constantly mocked, laughed at, and bullied by his classmates because of his non-existent talent. He was, like I said, a boy who can't do anything but a loosey bit of taijutsu. So it's clear why he, of all people, was bullied. That's probably simply because of nature. Animals bully each other, they bully their siblings, and when they are bigger, they fight to death. One must show the other who's the boss. Either him or me. Someone has to be at the top of the hierarchy. Hyenas, for example, usually give birth to twins, one of which has a 10% chance of dying. Not because of predators or something, but because of its own twin. And this behavior is triggered only because of the strongest emotion a living being can feel: fear. Am I getting enough to eat? Where do I stand in the hierarchy? Am I the last one? No, because there is this one person that everyone bullies. So you know you're not last. Everything happens out of fear. Even followers do it out of fear because they're afraid they might be the next one down in the hierarchy. A real alpha doesn't care about such things because he knows exactly that he's at the top. But the difference between animals and us humans, however, is that we humans can think rationally. If one is in such situation, there are actually two possibilities what to do. Either you cry and ask yourself why you are here in the first place, or you observe the situation you are in and think, how can I improve the situation? After all, it's better to light a single small light than to curse the darkness. Let your brain work. If you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping in a closed room with a mosquito in it. And the fact that you can make it, even if you have no potential at all, is shown better by no other character than Rock Lee. Because no other character was born as talentless as he was. Here's the best example that nobody is born as a champion. You have to fucking work hard to be a champion. And everything starts in the mind. When you believe, your self-confidence grows, then you become better and you are confident in everything you do. He just didn't get discouraged. Quite the opposite. He wanted to prove it to everyone and make his dream come true. He kept training and made the best of the situation, day in, day out. But even his iron will began to crumble. He had doubts because no matter how hard he tried, Neji was always much better than him. So it was perfect that he joined Guy's team. Because in him he found exactly the mentor he always needed. One who had gone through something similar. He could give him a mindset that no one else could. And suddenly, he wasn't just doing it for himself. Lee has finally found someone he can look up to. People need help to achieve great things. They need to find something bigger than themselves. We search for solutions and joy by looking around in the world. But all solutions can only be found within oneself. And most of the time, it's the people you look up to who can give you that. Mike fucking Tyson was bullied at school. He completely avoided school because of it. He only went to school to get his breakfast or pick his lunch and went right back out. In, get lunch, out before anyone could see him. Until he met Kaz, who gave him such a mindset which hardly any other person in the world possesses. He made him as mentally and physically strong as Guy strengthened Lee. I mean, look at Mike Tyson at 13. 13! And let's be honest, who would mess with Mike Tyson today? Actually, you can find the same thing relatively often, for example with Georges St. Pierre.
自分の力を信じる大切さも教えていただきました。
Because it's just impossible to become good at something if you don't believe in yourself. We become what we think about ourselves. People can change their fucking lives by changing what they think. If one thinks negatively, they will get negative results. If one thinks positively, they become positive. We have our brain since we were born. Everyone got it without having to pay anything at all for it. But that's exactly why many don't value it. Things for which we pay money, we value all the more. The paradox is that exactly the opposite should be the case. The really important things in life come to us without having to pay anything at all for them. Our brain, our body, our soul, our hopes, our dreams, our intelligence, our ambitions, our love from our family and friends, simply everything. All these valuable things are free. But the things we pay for are actually very cheap and replaceable at any time. As we know, we have a conscious and a subconscious mind. The consciousness is our intelligence and the other our universal brain. With the consciousness, we think. We can reject or accept things. It lies 100% in our own power. The subconscious, however, accepts everything you give it. It cannot reject anything at all. That's why the Tsukuyomi is so effective. It is directed directly at the subconscious, unlike ordinary genjutsus. After all, you reap what you sow. If you sow seeds that are negative, you reap only negativity. If you sow seeds that are positive, you will be able to reap positivity. If we change our mindset, plant positive seeds in our subconscious, we will change our lives. Just like Lee, one shouldn't be open for defeats. In fact, by doing so, one is more likely to lose because it's an acceptable event. Just like Lee, who thanks to Guy has such a mindset that he simply refuses to lose.
気を失ってさえもまだ自分の人道を証明しようというのか。
But the transformation like Lee managed cannot be accomplished by one coach alone. Lee's iron will was just as important and motivating for each of us. Without his discipline, he would never have become what he was. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. One thing Mike Tyson also learned from Cus. Just like Rock Lee also learned it from Guy. Guy always voluntarily gives himself hard punishments in case he doesn't manage to do something the way he thought he would, or maybe loses to Kakashi. And god damn it, he goes through with this self-inflicted punishment.
ナイスガイなポーズをしてまで男が格好をつけた以上約束は死んでも守るもんだ。
Although Rock Lee had also applied it unconsciously before.
スクワット1000回できなかったら政権次2000回
A lack of discipline means that you don't know what you want in life. To solve this, there's one really extremely simple step that counts for everything. Simply do what you can. If you have seen and felt the ideal future, you will try everything to get there, even if it will of course be anything but easy. But the goal is in the future. And this is where discipline comes into play. Because discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment. It's not the result of one big event, but of a long list of small failures that have accumulated. It takes discipline to defeat the nagging voices in your head. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of poverty. It takes discipline to keep trying when the nagging voice inside us raises the possibility of failure. It takes discipline to admit and correct our mistakes. It takes discipline to deal reasonably with one's defeats, because it's not a defeat until nothing is learned from it. And it takes a hell of a lot of discipline to change a habit. Because once a habit is formed, they often act like a giant cable, an almost indestructible instinct that can only be changed through long-term, disciplined activity. Which takes about 22 to 44 hard days. And after 66 days of consistent use, you finally have a new habit, a hopefully more desirable habit. This can also be seen in extremely many professional athletes. For example, Cristiano Ronaldo. Some people probably really think that it's all innate within him. Yet it's all extreme hard and consistent work. He was always the first one at the training and he was always the last one to leave. A quote from Thunderstar: "After training, he always practiced his free kick. When he needed a goalkeeper, I was the only option for him. When I asked him if another goalkeeper could defend the goal during his free kick practice, he replied, 'I only want to practice with the best, so I can become the best.'" The same was seen with Mike Tyson with his absolutely sick training schedule. Get up at 4 AM and jog 5 to 8 miles. Be back at 6, shower and nap until 10. At 10 there was breakfast, then at 12 o'clock 10 rounds of sparring, with 3 times 200 sit-ups, 50 push-ups and 50 shrugs with weight. 2 PM lunch, 3 PM another 4 to 6 rounds of sparring, exercises on the punching bag, etc. and again 3 times 200 sit-ups and so on. 5 PM there were 4 times 200 sit-ups and so on, followed by shadowboxing or focusing on a single exercise to perfection. 20 o'clock cycling without resistance to calm down again, and at 21 o'clock watching some TV. Mostly analyzing some fights of the opponent or watching and analyzing some fights of himself. Every fucking day. Exactly the same can be seen with world-class bodybuilders such as Markus Ruhl.
Ich bin um 6 aufgestanden, dann habe ich meinen Shake getrunken, dann bin ich eine Stunde aufs Fahrrad, dann habe ich meine erste Portion Reis mit Fleisch gegessen. Um 10 gab es meine zweite Portion Fleisch mit Reis. Dann bin ich das erste Training, dann gab es Fleisch mit Reis, dann habe ich gepennt, dann gab es Fleisch mit Apfelmus. Dann bin ich ins Studio und dann gab es nochmal Reis mit Fleisch und abends gab es nochmal 25 Eier mit insgesamt 5 Eigelb und 20 Eiklar. Dann bin ich immer so um 12 Uhr bin ich ins Bett. Das war jeden Tag dasselbe, von Montag bis Sonntag, jeden Tag dasselbe. Ich sage euch was Geheimnis ist genau das, sich 14 Mal die Woche den Arsch aufzureißen im Studio. Über Stunden immer wieder Höchstleistung bringen, immer wieder bis ans Verrecken gehen, heimgehen und Krämpfe in der Oberschenkel haben nach dem Beintraining. Ich habe nachts nur so schlafen können, weil meine Titten nach dem Training verkrampft haben, bis zum Verrecken. Und wer gut werden will und sich verbessern will, der muss alles dafür investieren. Alles.
That's what it takes to really get to the top. Perhaps the 3 athletes from now had a certain predisposition, unlike Lee. In the end, however, only those who are disciplined enough to pull it off day by day and give 120% will be at the top. They did nothing else but practice for years. They didn't give a damn about anything else. Others went out partying, had fun. They didn't at that time. They wanted to be better, better than everyone else. Through Lee's clear dream, his habits and guy, he was able to stay focused. If Lee had given up and just told himself that it wouldn't work out anyway because he's a talentless nobody, he definitely wouldn't be so fierce today. Losers are winners who have given up. And even if you lose once in a while, you still win if you don't give up. Because what's the difference between Lee and, let's say, Tenten? It's just what they do. They both feel the same. Both feel fear, get hurt and eventually will die. Lee, however, is a lot more disciplined. He fights negative feelings and does what needs to be done. That's why Tenten has no screen time, while Lee got his own series. Or did you see any of those idiots again in the series who bullied Lee back then because they were oh so much better than him? Of course not. Not even this one tune-in. Because while Lee was training, they made fun of him instead of actually training too. Well, if they practiced instead, maybe one of them would have had the awesome scene when Lee took off his weight. That could have been you, random bastard who prefers to make fun of others to cover up his own problems and insecurities. And what can be said in conclusion now? Lee has definitely made the transformation, and it's all through hard discipline, a good mindset, and of course an iron will. So friends, don't be a Tenten, don't be a Sakura in Classic, but be Lee who really gives everything and chases his dream.